Okay. Yeah.
My question is, both of you are very well-known public atheists. And presumably, you believe the world would be better if more people were atheists. And yet, sometimes your public comments are criticized, even by atheists, as being perhaps too strident, and rather than convincing others to join the fold, actually turns them away. Mm-hmm. So my question to you is, do you contemplate that in your public statements? Do you contemplate whether your approach is, even acknowledging the psychology of people, the best way to go about creating the change that you want to see? Or are your public comments simply reflections of your personal feelings and you're just sort of saying it as it is? You can't be bothered to, try to be more strategic with those communications.
It doesn't follow that because one is an atheist, one thinks the world would be a better place.
That's right. That's why I said presumably.
Yes. So presumably, I think it would be a better place, but that doesn't actually follow. I care about the truth more than I care about what people think about it. So I would never compromise on the truth in order to be more persuasive, I think. I don't regard myself... I don't necessarily accept the adjective strident, which I've heard over and over and over again. You hear it so many times, people actually start believing it. I think that the word strident and shrill and similar words come about because we have all become accustomed to the convention that you don't criticize religion. As Douglas Adams said, you don't criticize religion. Why don't you? Because you just don't. But no reason has ever been given. There is no reason why religion should be immune to criticism any more than politics. Nobody says, oh, you mustn't criticize somebody's politics because it offends them or it upsets them. If somebody holds a view about the universe, about life, about morality, which can be called religious, if they've got their view from their parents, from a tradition, from a holy book, then they should be prepared to argue for it and not shelter behind a smokescreen of saying, oh, that's my religion, you're not allowed to argue with me if you do your strident.
Let me jump in because you probably know, because I'm sure we've talked about it in public, that we first got to know each other because we had disagreements about, in some sense, that question. And I used to think Richard was strident. And then, I suddenly realized that he isn't. In a way, I'd drunk the lemonade or Kool-Aid because I started to be attacked as being strident when I just simply asked questions. For asking the simple question, could you create a universe without God? Is that possible? I suddenly found myself getting the same adjectives applied to me. And I'm sometimes, of course, I want to provoke, and I'm sure Richard does too, but that's part of being a teacher, first of all, to provoke. I think to get people to think about break out of their own misconceptions. Sometimes you have to provoke people, I think. But I think we get called strident when we're not. And I've listened to and been with Richard a lot, and he just says, first of all, he says what he thinks, and he's a very gentle, generous person to listen to other people's ideas. If he finds them ridiculous, he'll say that's ridiculous. But is that strident? That's not inappropriate, I think.